All right, guys. So I just got finished at this property, and there's quite a few things wrong with it. So I just figured I'd walk around here with you because I think it'll be helpful for you guys. First of all, I mean, kind of difficult to notice, but you got a crack right here on this front door. If we continue walking around, we notice things like these cracks on the window seals, and that's just an indication that, hey, I might want to check out, you know, what's going on that window when I get around to it. Those are a couple of small things, and we'll continue around. I mean, it's a beautiful place for the most part. Just got, you know, a lot of little things. Oh, not so little. All right, so the next thing we notice here is that we've got some fascia that's separated and it looks like it's decayed. So that's just something to note. We'll continue on. Around to this side. All right, and this one is kind of rare, so it's a good one to note. But you see how the hurricane pad for this pool heater was dry? Well, you can see here that it was dry at the time, you know, that I got here. But then as I ran the heater, started seeing all this water, and this is because the pool heater itself is actually leaking. So it's always a good idea not only to run the pool heater, but always check. And you can see, it's difficult to see, but if you look inside of there, you can kind of see the water at the bottom of the heater as well. You can see it dripping out. If you look right here, you'll see some drips come out. And also you can look at the bottom of the filters and see if those are leaking as well. That's just some stuff for the pool. We'll continue around. Oh, and here we go. So we got this wall, right? First of all, we see that the window is delaminating. And if we go on the inside, we can see right here, we have a crack. So that's the reason that this window is delaminating, but we want to ask ourselves now, why is it delaminating? All right, so we also notice we have some cracks. These don't look that significant. I mean, this one kind of follows its way up after you look, you know, a little deeper, but at first they just look like regular settlement cracks, right? And you can see this one follows its way up too. And we've got some more on this window. Now at this point, I'm seeing this whole wall has a good amount of settlement. So now I'm getting a little concerned, right? We'll continue on. And we'll come to the garage. All right. So we get in the garage and we kind of take a look at these windows. And before we do that, we see stuff like this. And this, right about here, is efflorescence. Although it doesn't really mean that there is mold, not mold, asbestos, it can be an indication of it. And this is a 1954 building, so it was used during that time. Here we see a little bit more significantly the delamination and also the crack. And if we look down, we start to see more cracks through the wall this time. So now we know it's on both sides of the wall. And if we look up, what we find is settlement cracks that go through there. But if we continue looking up, we see that this settlement crack not only is on the wall, but it also goes up through the top plate, which is that concrete there. And it's actually causing the roof to wall connection to pop out. And you see that in multiple areas, not just there. This one came out completely. Oh, hold on. This one came out completely. And let's see what else. These ones, for the most part, are good, you know, up here. But, you know, it was just, that's clearly indicating, you know, that this part of the building, oh, and if you look here, you see another crack. So that's indicating that this part of the building is falling that way, right? So it's gonna need to be pinned on this side somewhere in order to fix this issue. And these people are gonna need to get it with a structural engineer. All right, now if we look up, now this ceiling in the garage is completely exposed. So I know you've heard me just talk about fire protection in the garage. This can't be like this. This needs to all have drywall to make it fire protected, especially because it's joined with the host structure. If this was separate, it wouldn't really matter that this is fire protected, but because of the fact that it's not, it needs to be. And then if you look here, we've got some staining, which is wet on the roof trusses and sheathing. And this white stuff here is usually what you'll find when you've got a roof leak. Just some kind of mildew, mold growth. And I'm not gonna go up there now, but you'll also find a few areas of termite damage there. And now we'll move into the building. All right. So, I mean, this is just normal testing, but I did find moisture on this window. It's nothing crazy. I mean, when you first walk in, it looks like a beautiful home. It looks like, you know, there's probably not going to be much wrong with it. I mean, I don't know, maybe after you saw the outside, you change your tune a little bit. But basically, there's a few things that I, you know, caught that I think would be good for you guys to see. All right, so first things first, we're in this little foyer by the patio, and I don't know if you can tell here, but if you shine the light, you can start to see just very minimal discoloration, and the drywall is not really even, right? We continue up the wall, we notice that we have what looks like a crack that goes all the way up, right? And then we test that for moisture and we find elevated moisture levels. So we can show you here. Some areas, we find 21 there. And if we go back outside and say, hey, you know, let's look on the other side of the wall and see what's going on. And what do we find? Well, we're in the exact same location that we saw this fascia out here the first time. All right. We'll continue in. We'll keep looking. Now, this is another one that I found that, you know, just something to look out for. So we've got an outlet here. If we plug in, it seems like it works. If we go over to this switch, this light switch, if you notice, when I turn it off, it goes the light off, but it also turns the light, the outlet off. And if we come here, over here, we find another switch that turns the light on, and the outlet is off. If we go over there and turn that one on, the outlet will go on. This is a three-way that is just improperly wired, so it's not working as it should. So that'll be on the report. And now we come into this room, all right? And when I first come in here and look out the room, there's a few things that I spot. Looking at the video, you know, I think you can see it through the video as well. And the first thing is gonna be this black line that I see in this wall, right? Now there's no real indication that, there's a problem here other than this dark line, which may have been something that was previously repaired. I'm not 100% sure, but then at a closer look, we start to see right here, down at the bottom, and along the lines, those are the screws in the drywall to hold it on the wall. And when the drywall mud gets wet, it pops out like that. So this is a completely normal seeming wall, but then at a little closer look, we find that it's got elevated moisture, right? We got to test it in a few areas to see where it's at exactly. 21, over here it's really soft, 32, etc. So, I looked on the outside, we're not gonna do that now, but I looked on the outside. I didn't really see any cracks on the outside of the wall, but I do notice that this is right below the balcony. So it could have something to do with that, or maybe this door is leaking. Either way, we're just gonna note that. And then we come over here and we see a few things, okay? First of all, difficult to see, but you have previous repairs here, so we wanna know what's going on there. That's at about 19, nothing crazy. But here we see some sort of something going on in this wall. We see, some discoloration, kind of like a circular pattern there, and then that straight line that goes up. And if we test this with moisture, we're gonna get 16 there, not too crazy, but as we move down the wall, 46, soft, high, 22. So this whole wall is really wet. And I just wanted you to know that, if you see something like that, it's definitely a good idea to look a little further. All right, and then we can move upstairs. And we got a bathroom right in front of us, and then over here we come into this bedroom. And what I want to show you here is you start to see the baseboard separate, and also the laminate flooring looks kind of damaged as well. And if we go to open this door, or this window, I'm sorry, we notice on the bottom, look how separated that whole seal is at the edge of the window. Water is just pouring into here and getting this whole wall wet. This is at, again, like 50. So we'll close that up. And we'll continue on to this other side. We've got another bedroom where, you've got the separation on the baseboard. It also has elevated moisture. And if you look outside, you got the same deal going with that separating. Now, and if you also look, you can see some cracks on the, that side of the window as well. Now, for those that don't know, this is also a good example of how you can see whether or not the wall is wood framed. So you see how thin the wall looks? It looks almost about the width of one concrete block. But the thing is that you can't, the wall's framed out a little bit beyond the concrete block. So if you see something that looks this thin, it more than likely is gonna be a wood frame. And then if you hit your hand here, it's either gonna hurt or it's gonna give a little bit. And if it gives a little bit, it's clearly wood frame. Now, You get the same deal here on this window. If we continue into the master, now we see that we have this skylight, but take a look at the cracks. And continuing here. So this is a difficult area, right? We have these windows, we want to know if they're leaking, but what do we have? We have tile. The tile's not going to show us the moisture, it's going to be difficult. But if we look closer, we see, first of all, we've got a crack there. Second of all, and I'm not going to go over there right now because it's kind of difficult, but if you look closely, you can see that the grout is kind of separated. These wall tiles are all released from bond. So although my moisture meter is not telling me that you've got elevated moisture there, the wall tiles being released does tell me that. And then you've also got some of that going on here in this floor tile. And that could be related to the tub leaking, or a very significant leak in the windows, but we're not going to know that because they have no access panel for this tub. There is one here, but it's full of grout and we can't take that off. All right, so that's that. And then I know that you guys have seen termite damage, but I figure I'll show you some more. All right, so if we get up in here, first of all, we see a lot going on right there. And then it's gonna be difficult for me to get all the way in here with this, so I'm not really gonna be able to show you, but really down there, right there, is the framing is all tore up. It's clearly termite damage. So just think about this building, the second floor is all wood frame. Now you got a significant amount of termite damage. So this is an issue that we really want to bring to the buyer's attention. Like, hey, look guys, you got wood frame upper and you got a whole bunch of termite damage. You don't know what it looks like inside the walls. Be careful. And then this is just another thing I figured I'd show. This is behind a shower control valve. And this is what it looks like. So when we talk about conversion valve leaks and stuff like this, this is kind of what we're talking about. I mean, this is basically, if it does leak, the reason it's a problem is because it gets inside of this wall and then the water runs down the back. So, I mean, that's pretty much it. I just thought there was some useful things in this property that, might help you guys out. So there you go.